the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, and I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today, as again the country is kind of being turned upside down yet again. Apologize, I haven't really been talking about current events as much as, what was I talking about? Trump and Elon need to patch things up. Well, that's thankfully looking to be heading in that direction, but then you have what's going on with Iran and Israel. They're doing airstrikes. Obviously, was it the leader of the nuclear facility in Iran was killed in an airstrike attack by Israel? So interesting there, extremely interesting that happened. And then, of course, Iran retaliates, attacking Tel Aviv. So extremely biblical stuff going on in the Middle East. I think we'll get back to that in a moment. Probably should, right? I mean, it's kind of important. In a lot of ways, that's like a lead story thing going on in the planet right now, and probably should be. I mean, it feels like it's something that's been kind of it's been something that's been kind of anticipated for the last at least 20 years, if not, going all the way back to 1979, basically when I was born, when the Shah of Iran was overthrown by the mullahs of Iran, the Ayatollah Khomeini. Those like that, of course, to bring in radical Islam rather than, democratic Islam, you could say, which is kind of what was going on in Iran for years under the Shah. And even locally here, assassinations going on here by some strange person impersonating a police officer, shooting two Democrat state House members. Going to their house, literally going to their house, their physical house, and knocking on their door and shooting them and their spouse. So pretty crazy. One is a female Democrat, and her husband were shot, and they are for sure dead. Whereas the man and the spouse, the wife, I believe are in grave condition, at least at the time I'm recording. So what the heck? You also have the No King protest going on locally here, even in Golden Valley. Saw that as well. But it was, at least that one was peaceful, unlike what was going on in Los Angeles. Anybody calling that peaceful needs to, stop lying, basically. If that's peaceful, I'd sure hate to see violent. Because, seriously. And you know what I mean? And it's not even, maybe not, like when you say violent. Yes, there was absolutely violence. But also, again, more of vandals. Like, how do you even describe it? Just crime. It's literally just crime occurring. That's crime occurring, burning cars, burning people's houses, basically. It's just absolutely ridiculous and completely unnecessary, to say the least. So, as you probably guessed, this is a fire pit episode, which is wonderful to have a fire pit. Last week it wasn't going to happen. What was it, raining or something? I can't remember what the reason was. I can't remember. I think it was wet, yeah. and it's definitely been a thing around here as well. I might as well do a Joey Weather Spy. That's also on YouTube, Joey's Weather Spy. So just like Freedom of Thought is now on YouTube, Freedom of Thought 1776. Do subscribe, please, 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 and crush the like button on all the videos, please. Yeah, maybe you don't have to crush it on all of them, but like the recent ones, if you could. Some of them that are podcasts, some of them that are actual videos. I just did a video right before this episode. So, and now some of you might be on YouTube right now listening to me. Others, obviously, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other regular podcasting apps. Thankfully, the fire is burning pretty good. Just like we want to keep the fire burning for We Can Do Better, Minnesota. That is the Freedom of Thought slogan. That's the slogan for Freedom of Thought right now, or created by Freedom of Thought. That's the slogan we need to keep pushing forward right now, a campaign. We can do better, Minnesota. We can absolutely do better than Ilhan Omar. We can do absolutely better than Tim Walz. We can do so much better than some of these other people locally. Even like, I don't know why I'm blanking on so many of the names, but obviously definitely not going about it in a violent way. Apparently this person, though, that is the suspect, that has not been, I do not believe has been captured. They've just been, just video or whatever. Like they were able to do a still image of the video of the person. Looked like he's, I don't know, 50s, 60s, 50-ish, pushing 60-ish range, wearing a cowboy hat, impersonating a police officer. Believed to be tied to, of all people, Tim Walz. So really interesting. Not that like necessarily he's involved, but I wouldn't put it past anybody. I'm not accusing Tim Walz of anything at the moment, but interestingly was given an assignment by Tim Walz at some point in the not too distant past. The information is not available to me right now that I'm able to pass on. I apologize for that. But if it's not there, it's not there. It's one of those type of things. But yeah, apparently more than likely is actually somebody from the left anyway. So interesting there. A lot of us were afraid that this was going to be some kind of false flag operation. Right away, they're going to, it's a right winger. He's going out and shooting Democrats, and especially on Trump's birthday and and all of that. And also, which is ironic, that it's Trump's birthday, Flag Day, which is pretty cool, that he happened to be born on Flag Day, June 14th. So that's actually very cool. But the other thing that's cool, I believe it was 1946, right? So he's 79. Him being Donald J. Trump, of course, 45th and 47th president. But also that it is the 250th anniversary for the U.S. Army, the U.S. military, the U.S. Armed Forces. Thank you. Thank you, Armed Forces. 250 years. Isn't that cool? So, starting back in 1775, 250 years. God bless all of the Armed Forces for the United States. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mark Carlson. I believe you're listening, right? And thank you. I love you, Mark Carlson. I really appreciate everything that, you and so many of your colleagues and predecessors and all that have done for this country. Really, thank you so much. Thank you. You've kept us free. You have. And boy, it's there's gonna be, let's just say there's gonna be, if as ambitious as I need to get, there's gonna be an episode coming up very soon. I was even gonna do it this weekend. Instead, I'm just coming on the air now because of all this other stuff going on. Coming on the air, the podcasting, cyber world, you could say, cyberspace. Because of all the other stuff going on, but something very related, I do believe, to what is going on, particularly in Los Angeles and what could be developing throughout this summer, as we could have another quote-unquote summer of love, which is more like summer of hate, which is really what it truly is. There's nothing good about it, like what happened with the George Floyd protest nonsense, the riots. It was completely unnecessary. You're accomplishing nothing by being violent and vandalizing and destroying people's property that had nothing to do with what happened to George Floyd. Absolutely nothing. And the other information out there that George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose is even more fascinating, and how that was covered up, and how Tim Walz's wife basically said that she really enjoyed the smell of burning rubber, basically, as police cars were burning. Like the police car tires were burning. And the precinct, the police precinct was also burning to the ground. during those riots. She enjoyed the smell of the burn. Unbelievable. Just like that's your governor's wife right there, and I'm sure the governor as well, in full agreement. Wow, we can do better, Minnesota. For God's sakes, we can do better. But I've been all over the place already. But what I was trying to talk about earlier, a topic that I want to get into, that on a very soon, an episode very soon that could end up being something pretty special, I hope. Because it's about time Freedom of Thought had something special, even though some of you may think it is. I don't know. I mean, the number of viewers hasn't indicated that so far. But the George Washington vision, and I don't mean like vision like his vision for the country. No, I mean like an actual vision he had with an angel that showed him the future, where it showed 3 different events that would take place that were pretty scary. One of them was the Civil War. The next, I do believe, was the Great War. It might have been World War I or World War II, but I believe it was the Great War, which is World War I. And the next one, what was the next one? Something that hasn't happened yet, that he said was by far the most frightening of all. A massive, massive war with millions in combat. We could hear the cries of millions in combat on the soil of the United States. Was it another civil war, or was it an invading army? Like what could be happening with this whole illegal immigration situation, where it's literally becoming like an invading army. Could this all be related? So I'm going to get deeper and deeper into that. That is a prequel to what could be the next episode, or 2 episodes down the line. Also, I do hope you did enjoy the OJ reload. I was talking about doing that on the last episode, I do believe, and I did reload the OJ Simpson. The real O.J. Simpson episode from last April on June 12th. I do believe I reloaded it not long after midnight. So in terms of like the day was just beginning, it was just becoming June 12th. So it would have been like, leading right into June 12th. So pretty exciting in terms of the timing, I guess. 31 year anniversary. Not exciting what happened to the poor victims in that case, and ultimately how O.J.'s life changed forever. Whether you think he's guilty or innocent, do check out that episode. It's definitely not, obviously, fun circumstances for anybody involved in that case. Of course not. Of course not. I feel like everybody's life was turned upside down, be it the lawyers on both sides, the judge, Cato Kalin, everybody, the families on both sides, the lawyers on both sides. It's just crazy when you think about all the crazy stuff that took place there. The police that were involved, like careers were basically ruined one way or another. Like, bleep, bleep, bleep. You did this, you covered this up, or you screwed this up, or, whatever. So it's what I believe, and I agree with, honestly, I agree with what Gerald said, how it was probably the best podcast I ever did. Probably the best podcast I've ever done. It's up to you to decide. I've done so many sports podcasts, and I'm still doing them. Timberwolves Explosion, Purple Mafia, Brave the Wild. I do the new Mysterious Adventures podcast, looking at anything from paranormal to ancient history, biblical history, and sometimes it's all tied up together. It's pretty cool stuff. Mysterious Adventures just released an episode called Poverty Point, and it has nothing to do with poor people. It's an ancient city / artifact, or a bunch of artifacts in northern Louisiana that date back almost 4,000 years ago. Could be possibly built by Nephilim giants, or people that were following fallen angels. How they worship them as gods, small g gods, and people still do to this day, believe it or not. So, yeah, it gets a little, things are much more biblical than people want to admit sometimes, one way or another. So, but those are all kind of leaning towards this, Mysterious Adventures and all that. So, yes, I encourage you to check that whole podcast out. It's only, 12 episodes in. So it's not like if you want to start from the beginning, it wouldn't take you that long to get through. And not expecting you to get through it in a day, a week, a month, or even a few months. It probably wouldn't take that long, though, because it's only a few episodes. This show, it would take you a while, because it goes back well into the hundreds of episodes, back to November 2020, when all that Biden nonsense was going on, and the fraud and all that. that is unmistakable as far as I'm concerned. They can laugh at us all they want. The Pat Kesslers, the Dan Barreros, and everybody else locally and nationally that think we're all morons for saying that they're calling us election deniers, when I mean, it was one thing after another that told you that things just weren't adding up, and they just simply weren't. One thing after another, and it's just sad when you see about the auto pen and everything, the story with the auto pen with Joe Biden, how he basically wasn't even the president the whole time, or 3/4 of the time, or 7/8 of the time is probably more like it. And people still would enthusiastically vote Democrat and say bleep Trump or bleep anybody that would bleep conservatives and all that. It's just beyond my comprehension. I don't understand. Some people are just not going to get it no matter what. Like, somebody can be right up in your face, plain as day. This is real. This is not conspiracy theories. This is real stuff. And you still just say, screw you, I don't believe anything you say, you're all just tinfoil hats. Well, so be it, man. So be it, man, or lady, or whatever. So be it. Or somebody in between, dare I say. But, yeah. I've been all over the place, but of course you're going to be all over the place. Iran and Israel, it's definitely biblical stuff. Is this the beginning of something much, 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 much larger? Could there hopefully be some kind of resolution between the two Vladimirs, Vladimir Zelensky and Vladimir Putin? If gun to my head, picking a side, dare I say Russia? I mean, how can I support Zelensky? How? The people of Ukraine? Yeah, sure, yes. Zelensky? How the heck can I possibly support him? How? He's basically Biden. He's basically Biden as a Ukrainian, extremely corrupt, like a gangster. Now, of course, Biden before his mind basically kind of faded away, and he's basically in a nursing home at this point. That's pretty much where he's headed not too long from now. One way or another. But but the evil corruption and nonsense there. Now, Putin is not a good guy. We all know that. He's no hero. He's no good guy. But at the same time, I don't know. I smell a lot more corruption from Zelensky than Vladimir Putin. I'm just saying that. If it was gun to my head, you have to make a statement on that. Well, I just did then, without having to have a gun to my head. At the end of the day, I'm not dancing around with the Russian flag. No, I will only dance with the American flag. And some of these videos, it's hilarious because it's laughing at the stupidity, absolute stupidity. Now that we can go back to L.A. and L.A., California, all that nonsense going on, waving a Mexican flag around, saying "How Viva Mexico" and all that. While you're burning a car, while you're standing on a car that's burning or whatever, burnt a car already in the background or whatever, waving a Mexican flag. Now, first of all, that's an invasion right there. That's an invading army. No matter how you look at it, it is an invading army, period. But again, the whole joke is if you love Mexico so much, then it's right there. It's not that far away. It's just a few miles. It's just a few, I don't know, depending on how far, a few hundred miles south of you if you happen to be in LA. So what's the deal? Are you here to invade and tear us all apart? Or do you just Viva Mexico? Then Mexico's right down the street. Basically, I'm just saying, figuratively down the street. And there's the video where it's like, if you love Mexico so much, then go back. And it's like, no, I don't want to go back. And it's like, okay. I mean, hypocrisy, nonsense, stupidity, foolishness. You could add the words, you could put them all together, and it's laughable. The whole thing is laughable and stupid. It's just so stupid. And again, these are the same people that look at us and tell us we're tinfoil hats. The same people that support all this nonsense tell us we're tinfoil hats. I mean, I think the argument's over. Don't you? What do you think? You think the argument's over? I certainly do. It's just the most laughable thing you can ever come up with. Let's wave that Mexican flag around on your soil and tell us how much you love it, but I'm not going back there. Okay, then what's the point? Kind of like similar to what they've done to the Minnesota flag, making it look kind of like Somalia a little bit. It doesn't look 100% like Somalia. That would be, they don't want to make it too obvious, but they might as well. Because, well, I mean, it's what's been going on here is, and especially in the city, city of Minneapolis and such. Yeah, it's kind of leaning in that direction. It's kind of gotten a Somalian vibe, certainly, especially with a certain House representative that, unfortunately, for some reason, even though I say she doesn't represent me, she technically does, because of law, I guess, unfortunately. I mean, I might be an election denier about that person, too. Like, other than, I guess, I don't know, illegal aliens probably voting for her that happen to be from her part of the world, along with other fraud, financial fraud, dishonesty there. The fact that the way she got to this country is extremely checkered, extremely questionable. What was it, like marrying her brother just to get on American soil legally? So she could become like a legal citizen that way. It's, I don't know. I just don't, I just, you can't put into words the corruption and how scary it all truly is. And what an angry biatch she truly is. What an angry little biatch Ilhan Omar truly is. How can you stand her? How can you? So it's things like that. We can do better in Minnesota. We can do absolutely better. And it's just, like the whole city of Golden Valley, basically every house except one, maybe one or two, had her opponent's sign in the front yard. Unfortunately, not the Republican, but the opponent in the primary, which tells you Democrats don't like her. Democrats don't like her. They want the other person. They see her as a divider. No, I wouldn't vote for the Democrat person. They hate us, The other person hates us almost as much as she does. Yet, when that many Democrats, it was like 9 out of 10 basically wanted the opponent, and then she still wins, first of all. And I know because of the city, but I still think there's a lot deeper fraud than that, than just the city of Minneapolis and the population of a certain demographic. But the fact that all that was going on, the fact that she would win in such a huge landslide does reek of some kind of fraud. Something ain't right. It doesn't add up about all of that, because a lot of people don't like her. People that vote on her side of the equation don't like her. So why does she keep winning the primary? Why? Big question, right? Yeah. It's a good question. I think it's a good question. I think it's a question that should be asked by both sides of the aisle. Both sides of the aisle. Ask the question and expect an answer. And she can tell us to F off all she wants. Ilhan Omar, you can F off. You can F off, Ilhan Omar. Yeah. Yep. I said it, and I'm sure many others are saying it as well. I'm not going out on a limb by saying F off Ilhan Omar. She can. There's no doubt. She's the one that absolutely can do that. So can Maxine Waters. And I love the way the ICE, the ICE facility or whatever they call that? I think it's a building, basically, when she wanted to come in and she had something to say, and they just shut the door on her. Thank you. Yes. I think a lot of more people should do that to the Ilhan Omar types. The Maxine Water, my goodness, types, they absolutely need to shut the door on her face. I mean, her whole existence in politics is fraud as well. Her husband's a thief, an absolute thief when it comes to, bank fraud, defrauding the bank he was working at. It's just evil people, and we're allowing it to continue. City, or like California, LA, all those places just continue to vote for these scumbags. And they keep Gavin Newsom, like the actual possibility he could be president. Sounded like a reasonable, nice guy when he went on Michael Savage, but everything. See, further and further proof that actions are louder than words. Actions are louder than words, man. Like, he sounded like a reasonable man, an agreeable man. You can have a kind and honest disagreement with each other, because Michael Savage obviously is a lot closer to me in terms of probably being a pretty strong conservative, right? In fact, an extremely strong conservative. Gavin Newsom is completely on the other side. But they had a civil, respectful conversation. They actually kind of like each other a little bit. But then the actions tell you something completely different. Gavin Newsom does the exact opposite of what he sounds like. He sounds like he does the exact opposite. And then he basically dared Trump to arrest him or whatever, and ICE to arrest him when they're performing illegal acts. Him and so many others, including like Tim Walz and others, harboring illegal aliens is against the law. It is actually arrestable. So, I mean, it's possible. It's absolutely possible these people could see time behind bars, and they probably should. If this world was an honest world and fair world, they would be behind bars because of what they're doing. It is against the law, and it should be against the law, especially when you consider the extent of illegal immigration that are allowing to occur. Joe Biden should be behind bars, and people underneath him should be behind bars. People that were really running him the whole time should absolutely be behind bars. Anybody using that auto pen during his presidency should be in jail. Absolutely should be in jail. And that is just a done deal right there. So with all of that said, I think I've said a lot. I could probably go on for another hour and a half, but I don't know, maybe not quite that long, but I could probably, if need be, get a big list of things written down, have a huge conversation. But at the end of the day, I mean, I've covered a lot of the bases here, except for that Washington Vision thing, which I think is, well, my mom thinks it could be after the rapture. It could be, in the future here, like a ways off yet. But well, whenever the rapture is, it could be after the rapture of Christ, the rapture of the church, whether you believe in that or not, which I do. I do believe in the rapture. The rapture, then the 7-year tribulation, and then, eventually the millennial reign of Christ on this earth, which we all look forward to. At least I certainly hope you do at the end of the day. This country's definitely an interesting place. One way or another. The material now is off the charts. Obviously, I could probably do like a show every day easily. I mean, other people do, right? So I probably should almost. But unfortunately, with the 2 jobs and such, and the other podcasts, holy cow, I'm trying my best, and I apologize that I've not been as available as I, should be, that type of thing. And those of you that have donated, thank you so much. There's a link in the show description. Give, Send, Go. It's a Christian organization, not like a PayPal or something, which could pull the plug because Joey doesn't believe in global warming. He just doesn't. He doesn't think the vaccine was a good thing either. Mr. Dictator Biden, Mr. King Biden, or King whoever underneath him, King Fauci, Dark Emperor Fauci or whatever. I could go on forever about all that, too, with how doctors basically these days want customers, not cures. Bob Bierman of the Truth to Ponder show, which is both on shortwave radio and in the podcasting world, said it perfectly there by saying doctors today want customers, not cures. So they just want your money. That's all they care about. One other stupid, bogus appointment after another that you do not need, and end up costing out of your pocket. And, of course, thousands and thousands from the insurance company, all to make $1 or $1,000. And then we still get stuck with at least a significant amount of that money as well. Yeah, so that's another podcast entirely. That's another episode entirely, to say the least. But, if you could put a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, it's getting lonely and stupid. It feels like 100 years. It really hasn't been that long, but it's been a while. There was one really good one, though, kind of recently. I think it was an updated version of a previous one, though. It's like the same person, but they updated their review, which I really, really appreciate. Loadmaster 11. This was back in late April, so not that long ago, and really wonderful thing to say. Uncensored look at a variety of different topics. Very clean and tastefully done. Listening to this podcast is somewhat like having a conversation or a discussion with a friend or colleague. Topics are typically political or news-related, presented in a classy, patriotic way. Thank you for that. The host has an amazing gift of voice and sharp memory. Thank you, man. That makes this podcast easy and fun to listen to. Often I feel I have learned something. All of this has me looking forward to the next episode. That is as good a review as you could ever, thank you so much. Loadmaster 11, that is... Thank you. Seriously, that is freaking awesome. I appreciate that so much. If you knew how much I appreciate that and just the fact that somebody would learn something from little old moi. really, it just means the world to me. And in a lot of ways, though, it is kind of a goal to plant seeds. Like, what do you think of this? And then, oh, I didn't think about that before. Stuff like that. Stuff like that. Like, how about this? And Mysterious Adventures, I try to believe that that's another way as well. Another form of planting seeds. Like, look at this, look at this, look at this, episode to episode to episode. So hopefully the show does that for you. And if it does, let me know and maybe write a review. And thank you. And Loadmaster 11, I mean, God bless you. Seriously, thank you so much. I think I know who it is. Wink, wink. But, man, I appreciate you so much. You don't know how much. Seriously, though. I mean, that is as nice and thorough a review as you can, it just, you read something like that and it touches your heart. I'm not trying to be dramatic or fake or over the top. Boy, that bird sure wants attention right now, don't they? No, from the opposite sex, I'm sure. But anyhow, thank you to Loadmaster 11. That is just an absolute kick butt review, and it means the world. And anyone else out there, I mean, write a review, help the show grow, crush the like button, subscribe to the YouTube. The Twitter /X or whatever is called Freedom. It's at Freedom of Thou 76 because they don't let you have a big long name. The YouTube Freedom of Thought 1776. Facebook page Freedom of Thought 1776. See, notice a trend. The YouTube, the Instagram Freedom _of _Thought 1776, and all of this is in the show description, and it's greatly appreciated that all of you have been a part of this show. And yes, interact with me some more. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, commenting. What's the other? Obviously, Threads as well. Freedom of Thought, 1776. Threads as well. Threads is like a part of Instagram. So just want to thank all of you so much. God bless all of you. And praying that, again, we can continue to do better in Minnesota and we can continue to do better nationally as well. Definitely not a shot at Trump, but, the other... Congress people, the other House members throughout the country, we can do better. We can do so much better. We can do better in Kentucky as well. We can have a better leader than Mitch McConnell, let me tell you. We can do way better than Mitch McConnell. We can do way better than Lindsey Graham. We can do way better than, what's that guy's name? Mitt Romney. We can do way better than Mitt Romney. Mittens Romney. We can do so much better. Real quick before I sign off, I just got some interesting information pointed out to me from my dear friend Donna. She says, oops, okay, I'm going back, that both of the state lawmakers recently voted against their party. They voted to repeal healthcare for illegals. So that's an interesting twist. And yes, she's making absolutely sure, she's not saying that that's why the event took place. Yeah, I understand completely on that. Because it doesn't mean that's why they were attacked by this individual. But, well, maybe it is one crazy individual that says basically, how dare you go against us, that type of thing. So a very interesting piece of the story, nonetheless, whether it's connected or not. It's pretty wild to think about. She was saying, she can't say that it has anything to do with it, and that they voted to repeal. She voted to repeal, and he supported her. Basically, the two separate, people that were attacked today by that individual. So, really, really, really interesting part of the story, though. Actually, I think that's something that absolutely needs to be investigated, and it probably will be, unless they're all just lying idiots out there and covering everything up. But thank you, Donna. That's awesome. That is an interesting piece of the story. So with that said, again, we're going to look to wrap things up here. I just want to again say thank you so much for everything, for listening to the show, supporting the show, and I just want to wish all of you a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week coming up. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.